Any shift in Venezuela brings nearly 300 billion barrels of oil into play, the largest known reserves held by any country in the world. Such immense wealth makes every geopolitical motive surrounding Venezuela appear material, something U.S. officials deny. Since early September, the U.S. Navy has taken a series of actions that raised a serious possibility among international observers: a new war, this time in the Americas and in Venezuela.
American forces yesterday seized an oil tanker off the Venezuelan coast.
Large tanker, very large.
President Donald Trump launched a full-scale campaign against drug trafficking, naming Venezuela as the front line.
Venezuela's been very dangerous with drugs and with other things, and they've been very, very dangerous. So we'll see what happens with Venezuela. We had a lot of drugs.
According to the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, narcotics enter the U.S. from countries like Mexico, Colombia, India, Peru, Central America, and the Caribbean, with Mexico being the largest exporter of illegal drugs to the U.S. So what has pushed Trump toward an adventure in Venezuelan waters? Oil, or something beyond it? Why is Trump's America, which was supposed to avoid new wars, now seemingly preparing for a risky and potentially costly conflict?
Venezuela, but also any country that is sending purposefully illegal narco-terrorists to the United States of America to bring illegal drugs. On September 2nd, Secretary Hegseth authorized Admiral Bradley to conduct these kinetic strikes. The president promised on the campaign trail that he would demolish the foreign terrorist organizations and drug cartels.
Tensions escalated when Trump sent warships near Venezuela's coast, calling it part of a war against the cartels.
The Navy has supported our mission to blow the cartel terrorists.
We were sitting on a truck bed when it started raining. She said, I don't mind, got her dancing in a white sundress, couldn't even find one. Drive through my, oh my.
But the real alarm began when a deadly attack on a Venezuelan vessel left 11 people dead.
The U.S. military has attacked another alleged drug-carrying boat in the Caribbean.
Now, the USS Gerald R. Ford, America's largest aircraft carrier, has entered the Caribbean, joined by at least 7 warships, a nuclear submarine, and F-35 fighter jets. Everything suggests that a full-scale attack on Venezuela may be looming.
In Maduro, it is the view of this administration, is not a legitimate president. He is a fugitive head of this cartel who has been indicted in the United States for trafficking drugs into the country.
It appears Trump is using drug trafficking as a pretext to pressure the Maduro government into changing its behavior. But is the issue really drugs? DEA statistics show that Colombia, despite hosting several U.S. military bases, produces and traffics far more drugs than Venezuela. Moreover, 74% of drug trafficking occurs through the Pacific Ocean, unrelated to Venezuela, while only about 8% passes through the Caribbean corridor, some of which is intercepted by Venezuela's own National Guard. So the issue seems to go far beyond narcotics. Venezuela became a problem for the United States in the 20th century, when it emerged as one of the world's largest oil producers. Alongside massive gas, gold, and nickel reserves, the country came to possess the largest oil reserves on Earth. In the 1930s, Venezuela's oil wealth attracted foreign companies, especially American ones. By the 1970s, Venezuela nationalized its oil industry, which sparked strong nationalist sentiment and revived anti-American feelings. A few years later, Hugo Chavez entered the scene.
From Venezuela, monina water, sope purno, wahala ejina water.
In 1999, he rose to power, promising to radically transform Venezuela's socioeconomic structure. With fiery rhetoric, he blamed the U.S. for the country's economic and social problems. The Venezuelan Revolution created a dangerous domino effect for Washington. One by one, left-wing governments came to power across Ecuador, Bolivia, Brazil, Nicaragua, and Chile. The balance of power in Latin America was shifting. The U.S., preparing to sign the FTA, the LCA, trade integration plan with Latin America, suddenly faced a wave of resistance. Chavez proposed ALBA, a counter-initiative aimed at Latin American and Caribbean solidarity, a project that didn't tilt the regional balance in favor of the U.S. For United States, still euphoric after winning the Cold War and assuming the left was finished, this was crossing a major red line. Under Chavez, Venezuela also strengthened ties with Iran, a fiercely anti-U.S. state, and even supported Palestinian resistance to Israel, going so far as to expel the Israeli ambassador. This helped Iran break out of international isolation and increase trade between the two nations. After years of close ties, the potential fall of Maduro would tighten the geopolitical noose around Iran. The same is true for Russia, which has made major oil investments in Venezuela and built military and security cooperation. Maduro's fall would eliminate Russia's foothold in the Western Hemisphere and signal weakness to its allies. Another motive for Trump is containing China, America's biggest rival and Venezuela's key partner. Venezuela exports more oil to China than to any other country. Its vast resources help China reduce dependence on Middle Eastern oil, a region where the U.S. has already been pressuring another major Chinese supplier, Iran.
They took our oil rights. We had a lot of oil there. As you know, they threw our companies out, and we want it back.
So why is Trump turning to Venezuela now? China is focused on the possibility of conflict over Taiwan and is not in a position to protect Venezuela. Iran, after the events of October 7th and the 12-day conflict that followed, is already under immense pressure and facing the possibility of another war. Russia remains heavily entangled in Ukraine. Under these circumstances, overthrowing Maduro would strip China, Russia, and Iran of a key ally in America's traditional sphere of influence, while opening the doors for highly profitable U.S. investments and giving Washington greater influence over global energy markets.
Joining us in the gallery is the true and legitimate president of Venezuela, Juan Guaido. Mr. President, please take this message back to you.
For years, the U.S. has sought to topple Caracas, and today, the opportunity seems more favorable than ever. In 2001, a coup plot was carried out inside the U.S. Embassy in Venezuela. It failed, but Washington's hopes did not. In 2002 and 2003, sabotage operations targeted the country's oil refineries. Over the years, the Venezuelan opposition received repeated foreign backing, yet the Bolivarian government didn't fall. By the late 2010s, under Nicolas Maduro, the U.S. imposed sweeping economic sanctions. Around 431 sanctions have targeted Venezuelan individuals, entities, and sectors, especially the oil industry, the nation's economic lifeline. Oil revenues plummeted, triggering a severe economic crisis. Banking sanctions blocked Venezuela from global financial markets and prevented access to vital loans. Shortages of food, medicine, and basic goods intensified, dramatically affecting daily life. Washington also mobilized diplomatic pressure. Between 2012 and 2019, Venezuela's economy shrank by nearly 80%, and more than 90% of its population plunged into extreme poverty. Foreign debt soared to $150 billion, and national revenue, largely oil-based, dropped by over 90%. Yet despite all this, Maduro won elections in 2018 and again in 2024, defeating U.S.-backed candidates Juan Guaido and Edmundo Gonzalez, allowing anti-U.S. and anti-Western policies to continue. This has led Washington think tanks to conclude that coups, sabotage, and opposition funding are no longer enough. The only remaining path to toppling Venezuela's left-wing government is direct military pressure. Even if the government doesn't fall, Venezuela would be severely weakened, sending a message to all U.S. adversaries that standing up to Washington comes with consequences. Will the United States attack Venezuela, or will it retreat despite all expectations? The real question now is, what choice will the Venezuelan people make? Will anti-American voices in Venezuela remain strong, or will the population bow to mounting pressure?